yes, God can do these things. God can heal people from cancer. God can set people free from addiction. He can do all these things. But sometimes I lack that step, that link, that bridge to believe that He will do these things. Sometimes I don't pray with the authority and the certainty that He will do these things. And I'm embarrassed about it, but I got to be honest. That I don't see in myself that consistent belief and confidence that David has. But David has no doubt. And then the next thing that I see is that he doesn't just believe it, he acts on it. In fact, he puts his life on the line to put it to the test. So he doesn't just believe that God can defeat Goliath. He puts himself in a spot where if he doesn't defeat Goliath, he's dead. He's literally dead. Church, I don't know about you. I don't run into a lot of 9'9" people who are threatening the life of my family or saying things about my God that need to be dealt with. But I don't find myself in a position where I'm walking with this kind of confidence or acting out this kind of confidence very often. But I want this. I want to believe the way David believes. I want David's heart of defense for his father, or for the father, for the king that he serves. Saul says to David, "Go, and the Lord be with you." So the next bit is a part of the story where you know the story. You know how it works out. David goes out, grabs a rock, slings it, kills Goliath with one rock, and then takes Goliath's own sword and cuts his head off, giving Israel the victory. The soldiers swarm off the fields and they chase the Philistines, striking them down. And it's kind of the happily ever after for the Israelites in this war story. Following this, David enters Saul's service full-time. Saul says, "Okay, enough of this shepherd work. You're going to come and you're going to be with me. You're going to be around the house full-time." At that same time, we see how the word describes Saul has a son, Jonathan, who we've met in the last few weeks. Remember, Jonathan's gone out and won some victories. Jonathan is the heir to the throne, the heir to Saul's throne. And he has this affection for David. He sees David's heart. He sees the way David does things. And the word says he loved him as his own soul. They became friends unlike friends we see. There's just like this life and death connectedness to each other. We see over the next few chapters, everything that David did was successful. And also, everything that David did was on public display. It's like God was putting David in situations where not only would he have these victories, but he would have them very publicly. So that the confidence of all Israel was growing. Who is this David? In fact, it was reported, songs are being sung, that Saul has struck down his thousands, and David his 10,000s. Again, another sports analogy. I love soccer. I love English soccer, English football. And they've got songs, the fans, the supporters there have songs for everything. They will sing songs to specific people. They will sing songs to commemorate specific events. And this would have been almost like a football chant where they were singing about Saul has killed his thousands, but David his 10,000s. And it was singing glory to David, but Saul was hearing it. And this spirit that would torment Saul stirred him up, and his heart turned against David. And Saul started to conspire. Oh my God, how do we get rid of this David who I brought into my service? How can I do it in a way, have him killed or done away with in a way that doesn't make me look like a bad guy. And so we pick up in chapter 18, verse 17. He starts to reveal a plan. Saul said to David, well, here's my elder daughter Merab. I will give her to you for a wife. Only be valiant for me and fight the Lord's battles. For Saul thought, let not my hand be against him, but let the hand of the Philistines be against him. Later in verse 20. Now Saul's daughter Michal loved David. I mentioned her earlier. And they told Saul, and the thing pleased him. Saul thought, let me give her to him, that she may be a snare for him, and that the hand of the Philistines might be against him. Verse 23 says, and Saul's servants spoke those words in the ears of David. And David said, does it seem to you a little thing to become the king's son-in-law, since I am a poor man and have no reputation? The servants of Saul told him, thus and so did David speak. And Saul said, thus shall you say to David, the king's desire, if you want to be my son-in-law, if you want to marry my Michal, it's no bride price except 100 foreskins from the Philistines, that he may be avenged of the king's enemies. Okay, so how's that? So my son is about to be married to Miley. What if I said, Miley, you can marry my son. We just need 100 foreskins from the neighboring village. This is quite the transaction here. Sorry, Miley, we will not ask that for you. So the story, and again, I find in my 7-year-old boy in me gets very amused by these stories. David takes up a challenge. He goes out, not only does he kill 100 Philistines, but he comes back with 200 foreskins. He doubles the amount asked for him. So they were given a full number to the king, that he might become the king's son-in-law. And so the plan backfired on Saul. He was sending David out on an impossible mission so that he would be killed, so that David would be no longer. But instead, David comes back with twice the amount that had been called for. I invite the worship team to come up. On that note, 200 foreskins later, so from that day forward, Saul both hated, but he also feared David. He was this Achilles heel in Saul's kingship. In chapters 19 and 20, they describe both Saul's attempts on David's life and Jonathan's valiant aid to David's escape. David and Jonathan have this brotherhood where Jonathan's looking out for David, keeping him safe. Next week, Pastor Les Warner is going to be bringing the word, and he's going to be walking us through this time where Saul is pursuing David. He sees him as a threat to his throne, and he doesn't want that in his kingdom. He wants David gone. We're going to sing this song of worship, and then I want to come and just kind of give you one last thought about how David approaches this next phase of the relationship. As we sing praises, I want to bring focus to how we should, not how you should sing. I want you to sing on tune and with the rhythm of the song, but more than that, our posture, our audience is the same King of Kings who filled David with confidence to go out and fight a battle that didn't make sense, a battle he could not have won in the natural. I want you to sing to a King of Kings who gives us everything that we need. When you think about the things that you're warring with right now, the things that you're battling, the things that are challenges in your life, the difficulties that you're facing, He gives you everything that you need to face that and not just survive it, but to thrive, to persevere, to have victory in those areas. So I don't know about you, but when I think about singing to that King, it changes my heart posture a bit. It fills me with humility that I can even approach a King like that. But it fills me full of love. It fills me full of adoration. I want to sing praise to that King. So I invite you to join me, stand, and let's sing praise to that King together.
Oh
This image we just sang through is something we steal from Revelation. And it's a picture of the throne room, where day and night, night and day, the angels surround the throne. And basically their existence is to say, worthy, worthy, worthy is the Lamb. Worthy is the King. Their whole purpose is to live this life of praise of the Father. We get to do it too. We just did it. We get to sing these songs of praise. We get to come before the King of Kings, both with our praises and our adoration and the adulation for all the things he does, but also to petition him, to cry out to him for those things, for the Goliaths in our lives that we need to go to war against. And we can come with confidence, like his children, into his presence, asking the Father for what we need. So, my blessing for you today, for this week, is to go full of that confidence, knowing that you have access to the sovereign King of Kings, that he fills you with everything you need to battle the giants in your life, and the authority to pray for those who have giants that they're facing. Go with that confidence and be blessed. We'll see you next week. Light back on just for a minute so that we can. Oh, just so he can.